After losing his city job, Su Ming heads back to his village with just a broken suitcase. Right at the entrance, a rich and rude village bully named Zhao Bin blocks his path with a fancy car. Zhao makes fun of Su Ming for being broke and tells him to sell his family's dead land to pay off his sick grandpa's debt. Su Ming tells him to back off and goes straight home. Inside the old house, he finds his grandpa trying to hide a really badly swollen and sick leg. Seeing this, Su Ming promises to stay, take care of him, and grow food on their land, even though everyone says it is cursed. He grabs an old hoe and goes to the field. The dirt is as hard as a rock, but he keeps hitting it until his hands bleed. When a drop of his blood hits the dirt, a magic farming system unlocks in his head. The dead ground suddenly turns into super rich black soil, and his bleeding hands heal right away. The system gives him a magic hoe that saves his energy, some special water and fast-acting fertilizer. He quickly plants some old tomato seeds, waters them, and adds the fertilizer. In just 5 minutes, the seeds grow into glowing red tomatoes that smell amazing and have the power to heal injury. Just then, Zhao Bin climbs the wall to cause trouble. But when he smells the tomatoes, he starts drooling like crazy and begs to buy them. Su Ming just smirks, eats one right in front of him to show how good it makes him feel, and tells the bully to get lost. As Zhao Bin yells angrily from the wall, Su Ming takes the last 2 magic tomatoes inside to save his grandpa's leg, while his system dings to mark his very first harvest. Su Ming watched a tomato plant turn to dust and disappear into the dark dirt. Inside the house, his sick grandfather, Old Man Su, lay in bed with a badly rotting leg. The old man was worried about some local bullies, but Su Ming just smiled and handed him a bright red tomato. He told his grandpa it was a special fruit that cost 500 yuan. Before the old man could complain about the price, Su Ming popped it into his mouth. As soon as Old Man Su bit into it, a strong heat rushed through his body. His rotting leg started to itch like crazy. Black, smelly blood came out of his skin. Su Ming held him down and told him to relax because it was just cleaning out the bad stuff. Soon, the pain stopped and the old man fell into a deep sleep. Su Ming wiped the leg and saw fresh, healthy skin growing back. He realized the magical dirt in his backyard was the real deal. The next morning, Su Ming woke up and found the bed empty. He ran outside and saw his grandpa carrying heavy water buckets, looking full of energy and years younger. The old man was totally confused, thinking Su Ming gave him some crazy medicine. Right then, a greedy village doctor named Liu Dadu kicked the door open. He worked for the local boss and came to force the dying old man to sell his land. But when Liu saw the healthy old man standing there, he almost lost his mind. He thought it was some trick, but Su Ming just told him to get out. Liu and his guys ran away scared. Just as they left, Lin Xiaoan rushed into the yard. She was a young doctor from the clinic and Su Ming's childhood friend. Seeing the old man up and about, she panicked, thinking it was just that final burst of energy before someone died. She quickly checked his leg and was shocked to find it completely healed. Her medical knowledge couldn't explain it, so she yelled at Su Ming, thinking he used illegal drugs. Su Ming took her to the backyard and pointed at the dirt, saying he grew the cure right there. Xiaoan thought he was crazy because that land was known to be dead. She tried to give him her life savings to take his grandpa to a real hospital. Su Ming smiled, gently gave the money back, and asked her to trust him. She left angry but still cared enough to tell him to call her if anything went wrong. After she left, Su Ming grabbed some old cabbage seeds. He touched the dirt and felt a strange, magical connection with it. He picked up his tool and started digging, ready to see what else this special land could do. Su Ming was working on his dirt patch, but instead of getting tired, he felt great. A system screen popped up, showing that his body was getting stronger just from digging. He planted some cabbage and tomato seeds, then watered them with special spring water. The system said they would take 5 days to grow, but the second he stepped back, the seeds sprouted right out of the ground. Over the next 3 days, Su Ming kept working like this. His body soaked up energy from the earth, turning him from a skinny guy into a fit, strong man. The plants changed too. The cabbages grew huge and looked like clear green glass. When he tapped them, they made a sharp sound, and they smelled so good that just breathing near them made a person feel totally fresh. Right then, Lin Xiaoan ran up the hill. She was a young doctor from the local town and Su Ming's childhood friend. She was really worried about his mental health lately and even brought a ticket to send him to a brain doctor. But when she saw his new muscles, she froze. Then she looked past him and saw the giant, glowing vegetable. She dropped her bag in shock, thinking he bought fake plastic plants just to trick her. Su Ming just laughed and snapped off a thick cabbage leaf. A super fresh smell hit Xiaoan right away. All her stress and headaches from working late just vanished. Even though she knew it was weird, her body told her to eat it, so she took a bite. The cool juice fixed her sore shoulders and tired neck instantly. She lost control and ate the whole leaf like a hungry little hamster, even licking the juice off her fingers. When she realized what she just did, her face turned bright red. Su Ming ate a piece too and casually mentioned that this was the exact stuff that cured his grandpa's bad legs. Xiaoan's mind was blown. She realized this was not just a vegetable, It was a super medicine. Suddenly, she started panicking. She yelled at him for leaving such a crazy treasure sitting out in the open without any fences or security cameras. She warned him that greedy big companies would ruin him if they found out. Su Ming just smiled and told her he trusted her to handle the business side. Xiaoan got serious, pulled herself together, and told him they were going to sell this as a super high-end health product. Looking at the glowing tomatoes, she knew they were about to get really rich. Su Ming tossed a special red tomato to Lin Xiaoan, his smart and sharp business partner. She took one bite and was totally hooked by the amazing sweet and sour taste. Realizing this farming gig was basically a money printer, she promised to empty her savings to fence the hill and sell the veggies to some rich retired bosses. After he told her to come by for breakfast every day, she left happily on her scooter. Later that evening, Su Ming was thinking about how to get money to fix his grandpa's old house when the power and water suddenly went out. Right on cue, a loud Land Rover pulled up to his yard. It was Zhao Bin and his arrogant dad, Zhao Daqiang. They had cut the utilities on purpose to force Su Ming to sell his land for a cheap 50,000. Su Ming just laughed at them, told the dad to take off his sunglasses so he wouldn't fall in a ditch, and locked his gate. The Zhaos drove off, thinking Su Ming would soon beg them for help. But Su Ming was not worried at all. Because the water was cut, his farming system kicked in and started pulling magic energy and mist from the air to water the crops, making them grow even faster. He also noticed he could see perfectly in the dark, all thanks to the special veggies he had been eating. He checked the old backyard well and found the water was now pure and packed with energy. He took a cold shower with it, feeling his muscles grow tight and super strong. The next morning, Su Ming gave his grandpa a piece of his special jade cabbage. The old man ate it, and his years of bad knee pain vanished instantly. After his grandpa left for an energetic walk, Su Ming started digging in the field. As he worked, his body sweated out all the dark, smelly toxins from his past stressful city life. The system kept leveling up his stats. To test his new power, he grabbed a heavy stone millstone that weighed around 300 pounds and lifted it easily with one hand. While checking his crops later, Su Ming heard a fast rustling noise. A giant, crazy wild rabbit rushed out, drawn by the magic veggies. Moving super fast, Su Ming just swung his shovel and killed it in one clean hit. Looking at the fat rabbit, he realized these magic crops would keep attracting wild animals and greedy people like the Zhaos. He definitely needed a guard. His eyes landed on De Huang, his grandpa's 10-year-old, skinny and tired dog. It was time to give his old furry friend a serious upgrade. Su Ming took a slightly damaged magic tomato and some special cabbage leaves, crushed them in a bowl, and fed the mix to his old, dying dog, Big Yellow. The dog licked the bowl clean and suddenly froze. A loud cracking sound came from its body. The old dog started shaking violently as its patchy fur fell out, quickly replaced by a thick coat of golden hair. The weak dog completely transformed into a massive, calf-sized beast with glowing green eyes. It looked like a wild wolf, but as soon as Su Ming reached out, the giant dog rubbed its head against his hand, showing it was still a loyal pet. Since the dog smelled terrible from the change, Su Ming sent it to wash up in the river. Later that night, after making sure his grandpa was fast asleep, Su Ming heard a branch snap outside. Using his sharp night vision, he spotted two local troublemakers sneaking around. One was Gu, a known petty thief, and the other was Lai Zai, the village creep. They were whispering about a plan to pour weed killer all over the crops to ruin the farm, acting on orders from a guy named Zhao Bin. Gu climbed the wall, ready to jump in and poison the dirt. But when he looked down, he completely froze. Waiting for him in the dark was Big Yellow, looking less like a dog and more like a giant lion. Before the thief could even react, the massive dog jumped up, bit hard into his leg, and threw him right off the 2-meter wall like a ragdoll. Hearing the loud crash, Lai Zai peeked over, saw the giant beast staring right at him, peed his pants in terror, and ran for his life. Su Ming stepped out of the house and easily calmed the giant dog down. He walked up to the bleeding thief on the ground, picked up the dropped bottle of poison, and gave a clear warning. He told Gu to go back and let Zhao Bin know that if they ever messed with the farm again, the dog would go for the neck next time. Terrified, the thief crawled away into the dark. Right after that, a system notification popped up in Su Ming's head. Since his pet had successfully protected the house, he got a special reward, a magic thorn fence. He activated it right away. Thick green vines covered in sharp black spikes quickly grew out of the dirt, completely wrapping around the yard in minutes. Su Ming touched a spike and got a small cut, proving the new defense was super sharp and tough. The next morning, his grandpa woke up completely shocked by the giant dog and the huge spike wall. Soon after, Lin Xiaoan arrived on her scooter. She was a local girl helping Su Ming sell the crops. She was also stunned by the sudden changes, but Su Ming casually brushed it off as a new type of anti-theft plant. They loaded the fresh magic veggies onto a tricycle and headed to the busy town market. Since they arrived a bit late, they had to set up in a bad spot near the trash. Su Ming pulled out a piece of cardboard and wrote down the prices. $100 for a single tomato and $50 for a pound of cabbage. He also added that there would be no bargaining. Lin Xiaoan was super embarrassed because the normal sellers next to them were charging pennies. People quickly gathered around, laughing and calling Su Ming crazy for selling basic food at luxury prices. Right in the middle of the laughing crowd, 3 local street punks pushed their way to the front. The leader, a blonde guy, looked at Lin Xiaoan in a creepy way and tried to grab a tomato for free. Su Ming quickly smacked the punk's dirty hand away with a stick and told him not to touch the goods. The blonde guy grabbed his stinging hand, lost his temper, and got his 2 friends ready to smash the whole stall. The crowd backed away as a local blonde thug tried to cause trouble at Su Ming's tricycle. Lin Xiaoan, a girl who was there with Su Ming, got scared and tried to stop him. But Su Ming just stepped right up and stared into the thug's eyes. His look was so cold and deadly that it reminded the thug of a wild wolf. Sweating and scared, the thug backed off but told his gang to block the stall so no one would buy anything. For 2 hours, the sun beat down and they made 0 sale. Lin Xiaoan was ready to give up, but Su Ming just checked the time. He picked up a bright red tomato, grabbed a knife and sliced it in half. The inside looked like clear red crystal, and right away, a crazy good smell filled the air. It wasn't just a normal tomato smell. It was a perfect mix of sweet earth and sunshine that wiped out all the gross market smells. Everyone stopped what they were doing. People who were fighting or walking away just froze, their mouths watering. Without saying a word, Su Ming put the tomato down and the crowd started pushing forward to get a closer look. Suddenly, a really fat guy in a traditional suit pushed his way to the front. This was Wang Defa, a rich restaurant owner who was usually known for being super cheap. But right now, he was sweating and pointing at the veggies like he just found gold. He yelled that he wanted to buy the whole truck. The blonde thug saw this and quickly ran away, knowing he couldn't mess with Wang. Su Ming handed Wang the half-cut tomato. Wang shoved it in his mouth, his eyes lit up, and he looked at Su Ming like he was the god of wealth. He quickly dragged Su Ming and his truck to his restaurant. Inside the hot, busy restaurant kitchen, the head chef, Li, was yelling. He saw the cabbage and called it pig feed, getting mad that Wang wanted to serve it to a super picky VIP guest from the city. Su Ming ignored the yelling, grabbed a big knife and sliced a cabbage. It sounded like cutting crisp glass and the inside looked like green jade. Then he poured some hot chicken soup over it. The heat made the fresh smell explode, totally taking over the kitchen. Chef Li took a tiny bite of a scrap piece. It melted in his mouth, sweet and perfect. He dropped his chopsticks, totally shocked. While they waited to see if the VIP guest liked it, Chef Li was sweating and panicking. But then a waiter ran in, out of breath. He said the picky guest slammed his fist on the table because the food was so good. The guest even licked the plate clean and wanted to pay 10 times the price for more. The whole kitchen cheered. Chef Li jumped up, begging Su Ming to sell them everything. But Su Ming just smiled and said they needed to talk about the real price first. Up in a fancy private room, Wang wiped his sweat and asked if the veggies were really just 50 a pound. Su Ming sat back and pointed out that Wang's bad joint pain was suddenly gone. Wang realized the tomato he ate earlier actually healed him. Knowing this food was basically magic, Wang offered 500 a pound for the whole truck. Su Ming agreed but made it clear he wouldn't sign a deal to only sell to him. Wang didn't want to lose the veggies, so he quickly paid 58,000 in pure cash. Su Ming casually stuffed the huge pile of money into a fertilizer bag. He then pulled out a good chunk of cash and handed it to Lin Xiaoan to thank her for helping. She tried to say no, but looking at his calm eyes, she realized this guy had totally changed. Su Ming, a guy who used to be a pushover but suddenly got a lot tougher, walks out of a fancy restaurant with Lin Xiaoan, a pretty village doctor. Right at the door, they run into Zhao Bin, a rich, arrogant local bully. Zhao Bin sees Su Ming carrying a cheap, dirty bag and starts making fun of him, thinking Su Ming is just a poor loser collecting trash. When Zhao Bin tells his goons to attack, the restaurant owner Wang Defei rushes out and slaps the bully right in the face. Wang yells at Zhao Bin to back off, calling Su Ming his top VIP guest. Zhao Bin is completely shocked. Su Ming just smiles, hops on his old tricycle with Xiaoan and his new cash and drives off, leaving a really angry Zhao Bin swearing revenge. On the ride back to their village, Xiaoan is amazed because Su Ming bought a ton of good stuff, like expensive pork, nice liquor, and a new pipe for his grandpa. Su Ming is just happy he can finally treat his family after years of struggling. When they arrive, a nosy neighbor named Aunt Liu tries to mock him, assuming his vegetables failed to sell. Su Ming totally ignores her and heads straight home. When Grandpa Su sees the pile of expensive food and a bag full of cash, he panics, thinking his grandson did something illegal. Xiaoan quickly steps in and explains that Su Ming actually made a fortune selling his super healthy, top-quality vegetables to the fancy restaurant in town. Relieved, Grandpa happily smokes his new pipe. Su-Ming also notices that Grandpa's bad leg is completely healed now, all thanks to eating those special crops. Su-Ming cooks the pork for dinner, and it smells so amazing that the jealous neighbors next door start drooling. He tosses some meat to his big yellow dog, De Huang, who has been getting incredibly strong from eating the special food. After they eat, Su-Ming secretly checks his magical system screen. He sees that he earned a beginner potion and needs some high-level animal meat to upgrade his farm. He figures he will have to go hunting in the nearby mountains soon. Suddenly, 3 vans crash right through their front gate. A bald thug and his gang step out holding metal pipes. They were sent by the bully's family to collect an old debt and take the house. Grandpa tries to defend his home, and Xiaoan tries to call the police, but the thugs have jammed the cell signal. The nosy neighbors just watch from the walls and laugh at the Su family. When the thugs rush forward to hurt Grandpa, Su-Ming stays completely calm. He just drops his apple and calls his dog. De Huang jumps in like a monster, instantly taking down one guy and pinning the bald leader to the ground. The big dog's sharp teeth are right in the leader's face, scaring the guy so badly that he wets his pants. Su-Ming calls the dog back, calmly picks up the debt paper from the dirt, and asks the terrified bald guy if Xiao Bin sent him. A bald thug and his gang corner Old Man Su, demanding 300,000 in cash for a 30,000 loan. Lin Xiaoan, a girl standing by the family, points out the fake contract, but the thugs do not care. They actually just want the family's land deed for their boss, young Master Zhao. While the villagers watch in fear, Su-Ming, the old man's grandson, stays totally calm. He walks inside and comes back with a dirty fertilizer bag. He dumps 50,000 in cash on the dirt, saying it is enough to cover the real loan and fair interest. The bald thug refuses, kicks the money away, and threatens to beat him if he does not hand over the land. Su-Ming quietly picks up his money and puts it away. Annoyed, the bald thug swings a heavy steel pipe right at Su-Ming's head. But to Su-Ming, the attack looks super slow. Using simple farming moves he learned from working in a magical field, he easily steps aside and chops the thug's neck. The bald guy drops unconscious right away. The rest of the gang rushes in, but Su-Ming treats them like pulling weed. He grabs a heavy guy and throws him into 2 others, then breaks another guy's knee with a quick kick. In just 2 minutes, the whole gang is on the ground crying in pain, leaving Old Man Su and Lin Xiaoan completely shocked. Su-Ming walks up to the bald leader, who just woke up and is now shaking with fear. Desperate, the bald guy screams for help toward a parked van. The van door slides open and a huge man steps out. This guy, called Iron Tower, is over 2 meters tall, covered in scars and built like a walking mountain. He laughs at the beaten gang and looks at Su-Ming, ready to break his bones. Iron Tower charges at Su-Ming like a heavy tank, aiming to crush his shoulder. Everyone watches in fear, thinking the young man is done for. But Su-Ming just finds the giant slow and clumsy, like a wild animal. He plants his foot firmly on the ground, drawing power from the earth, and pushes his hand forward to meet the attack head-on. A loud bang echoes through the yard. Instead of Su-Ming getting hurt, the 300-pound giant is sent flying through the air. Iron Tower crashes right through a brick wall, burying himself in the rubble. As the giant coughs up blood with broken ribs, Su-Ming just dusts off his sleeve, totally unharmed. Su-Ming notices the dark red blood from the big guy he just beat up soaking into the dirt. The soil drinks it up right away like a sponge. A system screen pops up in his head, saying the strong blood made the dirt a bit better. He realizes that tough enemies are basically walking fertilizer for his farm. The big guy on the ground sees Su-Ming looking at him like a pig ready for the butcher and gets super scared. The bald gang leader and his guys are totally freaked out and just want to run away. But Su-Ming stops them. He picks up the gang's money from the ground, counts out exactly 30,000, and throws it right at the bald guy's face to pay off his family's debt. Then he starts charging the gang for the mess they made. He charges them for the broken gate, the smashed wall, scaring his old grandpa and his doctor friend Lin Xiaoan, and stepping on his special tomato plants. The total bill comes to exactly 30,000. The bald guy is forced to make his gang empty their pockets. They scrape together 32,000 and hand it over. Su-Ming makes the boss sign a paper with a bloody fingerprint, proving the debt is clear. He shows the paper to the nosy villagers watching nearby, giving them a cold look to mind their own business. The gang quickly grabs their injured friend and drives away as fast as they can. After they leave, Grandpa Su and Lin Xiaoan ask how he got so strong. Su-Ming makes up a lie, saying he learned some simple martial arts in college and eats their special healthy vegetable. They easily believe it. Later that night in his room, Su-Ming checks his system. He sees that the gang member's blood barely leveled up his farm. He realizes he needs to go into the mountains to hunt stronger things if he wants to upgrade his land faster. The next morning, Su-Ming checks his farm. The special cucumbers that make people look younger and the muscle-building corn are growing perfectly. Even the plants the gang stepped on are totally healed. He picks some fresh vegetables, tosses a tomato to his dog Big Yellow to guard the place, and goes to make breakfast. He makes a simple cucumber salad for his grandpa. As soon as the old man eats it, his skin gets a healthy color and he instantly looks a few years younger. Right as they are eating, a bunch of villagers show up at their gate. These are the same people who ignored them yesterday. Now that they heard Su Ming paid off his debt with cash, they are suddenly acting like best friends. One of the gossiping women even tries to set him up with her niece. Su Ming just stands at the gate, drinking his tea, quietly watching them fake their kindness. Su Ming is just drinking his tea when Aunt Liu, a totally shameless villager, tries to guilt-trip him into paying for another guy's wedding. He flat out says no. Since begging does not work, Aunt Liu tries to push her way into his backyard to snoop on his super valuable vegetable. Su Ming stays calm and lets his dog Big Yellow handle it. The dog bites her pants and growls like a wild animal. Scared out of their minds, Aunt Liu and the other nosy villagers run away. After clearing the crowd, Su Ming hands his grandpa a thick stack of cash to fix their broken wall. He then loads up his squeaky, beat-up tricycle with his special veggies and heads to town. He rides over to Juxianglu, the fanciest restaurant around. The front is a total mess. Rich people are blocking the door with luxury cars, waving huge stacks of cash and screaming at the owner Wang Defa. They all want a taste of Su Ming's vegetables because the food basically cures old health issues and gives people crazy energy. Su Ming calls Wang, who is hiding from the wild crowd. Wang quickly sneaks Su Ming in through the back door, sweating heavily. He happily pays Su Ming 64,000 in cash and begs for more vegetables to sell. But Su Ming plays it smart. He tells Wang that keeping the supply low is exactly what makes these rich people go crazy for it. He also tells Wang to send his own truck to the village from now on and suggests selling the veggies raw in tiny, super expensive slices. Wang loves the idea, walks right out to the rich crowd and starts a massive bidding war. After dropping the cash at the bank, Su Ming stops by the town clinic to see Lin Xiaoan, a young doctor who is a good friend of his. She looks totally exhausted with huge dark circles under her eyes. While waiting for her to finish up, Su Ming overhears a pharmacist next door selling wild ginseng for a crazy high price. He quickly realizes that to level up his farming, he needs to stop growing basic stuff like cabbage and start planting expensive herbs. He leaves the clinic for a bit and goes to a local seed shop. He buys the best herb seeds he can find, like ginseng, totally ignoring the owner who says they will never grow in normal soil. When he gets back to the clinic, Xiaoan is eating her lunch and complaining that she stayed up all night trying to figure out the secret behind his magic vegetable. Su Ming just smiles and hands her a special cucumber he grew. She takes one bite and it tastes amazing. The sweet juice instantly clears her tired brain and her face starts feeling warm. All her tiredness just washes away. Su Ming tells her to look in the mirror. When she does, she lets out a massive scream of shock. The cucumber completely wiped out her dark circles, making her look totally fresh and flawless. Lin Xiaoan, Su Ming's childhood friend and a local doctor, looks in the mirror and is totally shocked. Her dark circles, acne, and bad skin are completely gone. Her face is glowing just from eating one of Su Ming's special cucumbers. She grabs Su Ming and tells him that women would easily pay a fortune for something that works this well. They agree to sell the cucumbers for a crazy price of 1888 yuan each and split the cash. Meanwhile, at the local hospital, a huge thug named Iron Tower is covered in bandages. He complains to his boss, a rich and spoiled guy named Zhao Bin, saying Su Ming hit him with unnatural strength. Zhao Bin's dad, a greedy businessman named Zhao Daqiang, listens closely. He already knows Su Ming is making big money selling vegetables that cure diseases. The old man figures out the secret is the land itself. He tells his son they need to steal that magical farm, using any dirty trick possible. The next morning, Su Ming and Lin Xiaoan are checking the crops. Suddenly, a corrupt village official named Liu Dafu shows up with Zhao Bin and some guards. Liu Dafu makes up a fake story about Su Ming growing illegal crops and orders the farm to be shut down. Lin Xiaoan gets angry and tries to record them on her phone. Zhao Bin tries to snatch it, but Su Ming steps in fast. He grabs Zhao Bin's wrist and easily breaks it. Even after doing that, Su Ming stays totally calm. He tells Liu Dafu to go ahead and put the official seal on the gate. He even smiles and warns them that they will be begging on their knees to take it off later. Liu Dafu just laughs, tapes up the gate, and tells Su Ming he has 3 days to leave. Right after they lock the gate, a fancy black car speeds up to the farm. Zhao Bin instantly recognizes the license plate and realizes it belongs to the top city leaders. He gets really scared. A restaurant owner named Wang Defa jumps out of the car looking super stressed. He carefully helps out Old Li, a sick but very powerful retired hero. Old Li is in a lot of pain and desperately needs Su Ming's special vegetables to eat and feel better. But when they walk up to the farm, they see the big white seals blocking the gate. Old Li gets really upset. Su Ming just sits there, eating a cucumber, and casually says the officials locked it down so he cannot give them any food. Hearing this, Wang Defa gets insanely angry. He grabs the scared official Liu Dafu by the collar, pulling him up and screams at him to see if he was the one who sealed the farm. Wang Defa gets super angry and kicks Liu Dafu for messing with Su Ming's place since it delayed saving Old Li. Zhao Bin, the rich guy who started this problem, gets scared and orders his men to rip off the seal they put on Su Ming's gate. But Su Ming stops them. He says that since Liu Dafu put the seal there, he has to take it off using his mouth. Liu Dafu tries to back out, but Wang Defa steps hard on his hand. Left with no choice, Liu Dafu cries and bites the glued paper off the wooden fence, leaving his mouth a bleeding mess. After 10 minutes of this, Su Ming finally tells him to get lost. Su Ming then heads to the kitchen to cook. He uses his special well water, some magical cabbage, a spirit tomato, and a few drops of a secret water he got from his system. Soon, an amazing smell fills the whole area, making everyone super hungry. He brings out a bowl of hot pink food for Old Li. Wang Defa carefully feeds it to the dying old man. The moment the food goes down, Old Li gets his color back. He grabs the bowl, drinks it all, and breathes out a bad-smelling breath. Shocking everyone, the weak old man stands up all by himself, feeling completely healthy and full of energy. Realizing Su Ming is no normal farmer, Old Li thanks him. Su Ming casually mentions that his village has bad roads and poor power, hinting that if people keep messing with him, his magical plants might die. Old Li gets the message right away. He scolds the town mayor, ordering him to fix the roads and power within 3 days. He also tells his men to look into Zhao Bin and Liu Dafu, pretty much destroying their lives. Wang Defa hands Su Ming a special black gold card for future favors, and then Old Li's group drives away. In the car, Old Li's guard says Su Ming is just a normal college student. Old Li laughs at that. He looks at a black mark on his hand and explains that he was hit by a super deadly poison from a secret group. Top doctors could not fix it, but Su Ming's food cured him instantly. Knowing Su Ming is hiding a big secret, Old Li orders his men to make Su Ming's file top secret. Back at the village, everyone is now too scared to mess with Su Ming. Lin Xiaoan, a pretty girl who grew up with Su Ming and works at a clinic, tells him she has to go back to her job. Su Ming picks some of his magical cucumbers and gives them to her. He tells her to give them to her rich friends as a free sample because they make the skin look amazing. He also tells her to quit her boring job and come work for him, as his farm is going to get really big. Lin Xiaoan smiles, says she will think about it, and happily rides away on her scooter. Enjoying the quiet time, Su Ming goes back to farming. He plants some normal plant medicine to see if his magical soil will change them. Then he checks a special batch of corn he planted earlier. The corn stalks are dark, and the corn itself is hard and golden like metal. His system tells him it is a special item that makes a person's bones and muscles super strong. Knowing that dangerous people like Old Li exist, Su Ming decides he needs to get stronger. He breaks off some corn and goes to boil it. While waiting for the corn to cook, Su Ming hears a loud noise coming from the village entrance. He looks out from his balcony and sees a bunch of bulldozers and workers rolling in. The mayor is already there with road plans, keeping his promise to fix the dirt road right away. The town mayor was sweating and shouting, rushing his men to build a new road right in front of Su Ming's house. The whole village watched in shock as the road was finished overnight. Su Ming looked out the window, knowing this VIP treatment was only because he had the backing of a powerful man named Old Li. He knew real power had to come from his own body. He went to the kitchen and ate a special golden corn he grew. As he swallowed it, it felt like a hot fire going down his stomach. Soon, his bones started popping and his muscles grew fast. He ate 3 more and ended up with a crazy 8-pack and amazing strength. Even his dog, Big Yellow, begged for a bite. Su Ming tossed him one, and the dog instantly grew bigger and way stronger. Su Ming checked his magical farming system. It told him he needed monster meat to upgrade his farm to the next level. He looked toward the deep mountains behind his house, remembering old village stories about a giant man-eating beast. With his new super strength, easily crushing a solid rock into dust with one hand, he decided it was time to go hunting. Just then, a black SUV pulled up. It was Zhao Daqiang, a local rich bully whose son had messed with Su Ming before. Scared of Old Li's power, Zhao brought expensive gifts and cash to say sorry. Su Ming just stared coldly, told him to get lost, and slammed the door. Angry and embarrassed, Zhao drove off. Later that day, the cops arrested Zhao's corrupt friends and shut down his businesses. Back at his mansion, Zhao and his son were panicking. But when the son mentioned that Su Ming saved Old Li's life with just a simple bowl of magic porridge, Zhao's fear turned into serious greed. He realized Su Ming's farm was a gold mine. Thinking Su Ming was just a weak kid with lucky crops, Zhao made a dark plan to get rid of him and steal everything. That evening, Su Ming was eating more golden corn to boost his power when his grandpa and Lin Xiaoan, a local doctor, walked in. He shared the corn with them. The moment they took a bite, Grandpa's old back pain completely vanished and Xiaoan felt super energized. Seeing all these crazy things, magic porridge, beauty cucumbers, and now super corn, Xiaoan made up her mind. She told Su Ming she was quitting her hospital job to work for him full-time. Su Ming smiled and welcomed his new manager. The very next morning, Xiaoan's phone was blowing up. Her rich friends in the city had used the magic cucumbers she gave them, and their wrinkles were totally gone. Before 9 o'clock, 3 fancy cars parked outside. A group of rich, flashy women rushed into the yard, fighting and throwing cash to buy the whole basket of cucumbers. Big Yellow stood up and gave a low growl, instantly scaring the women into behaving. Xiaoan stepped up, telling them they could only buy 1 cucumber each for almost 2,000 bucks. To make things even crazier, Su Ming smoothly added that if they wanted to buy more in the future, they had to pay a 50,000 entry fee just to become a member. The rich women were left standing there, totally shocked but completely hooked. Su Ming and Lin Xiaoan just made a ton of money selling his special cucumbers to rich people. Xiaoan is totally shocked looking at the huge amount of cash on her phone. Su Ming tells her to keep the money to grow their business and makes her the head manager. He tells her to use this win as a push to finally quit her hospital job. She smiles, jokes that she will keep his future marriage fund safe, and invites him to her parents' house for dinner before walking away happily. Back home, Su Ming notices a mess of animal tracks near his farm. He figures the magic energy from his crops is drawing wild animal. Leaving his dog, Big Yellow, to guard the house, he grabs a simple hoe and walks into the woods. Soon, a huge, crazy-looking wild boar rushes right at him. Su Ming does not even blink. He easily dodges and smashes the boar's head into the dirt with one swing of his hoe, happy with how strong his body has become. He drags the heavy pig home like it is a light bag. His grandpa is totally shocked, but quickly hands Su Ming an old, expensive bottle of wine. He tells Su Ming to take the meat and veggies to Xiaoan's house to impress her snobby parents. At Xiaoan's house, her mom opens the door wearing a face mask. She looks at Su Ming's muddy bags and starts talking down to him, asking why a smart college guy is wasting his life farming. Inside, Xiaoan's dad is watching TV and completely ignores him. The mom even brings up a rich guy who wants to buy Xiaoan an apartment. Xiaoan gets super mad, but Su Ming just smiles, takes her apron, and goes into the kitchen to cook. Using his special spring water, Su Ming cooks the wild boar and his magic cabbage. The smell coming from the kitchen is so good that her parents completely forget what they were talking about. When Su Ming brings the food out, they start eating like crazy. The magic food instantly cures the mom's bad stomach and the dad's painful knees. The mom looks in the mirror and screams happily because her wrinkles are gone and she looks years younger. Right after, Xiaoan shows them the crazy amount of money they made selling cucumbers in just one morning. The parents completely flip. The mom starts treating Su Ming like royalty and fully supports Xiaoan quitting her job to farm. While they are talking, the TV news warns about a really dangerous underground fighter named Iron Mountain. Seeing the guy's picture, Su Ming gets a bad feeling and quickly heads home. At the exact same time, a local bad guy named Zhao Daqiang and his son sneak up to Su Ming's house to steal his land deed. They actually brought the dangerous fighter, Iron Mountain, with them. A thug kicks the gate open, but Big Yellow is waiting. The dog goes crazy and bites the thug's wrist, breaking his bones in a second. 3 more guys try to jump the dog, but Big Yellow moves like lightning, biting and taking them all down easily. The dog gets hit a few times but stands tall, covered in blood. Seeing this, Iron Mountain steps up with a creepy smile, thinking the dog will be a fun fight. Big Yellow senses danger and tries to attack Taishan, a tough underground boxer. But Taishan is way too fast. He beats the dog badly, sending it crashing into a door. When Taishan threatens to cook the dog, Old Man Su runs out with a stick to save it. Taishan easily knocks the old man down. Zhao Daqiang, a greedy local boss trying to steal their land, steps on the old man's hand. Just as Taishan is about to break the old man's leg, Su Ming shows up. He ignores the bad guys, helps his grandpa up, and pets his badly beaten dog. Taishan gets mad at being ignored and throws his hardest punch right at Su Ming's face. Su Ming doesn't even blink. He catches the fist easily, crushes Taishan's hand, and breaks his leg with one simple chop, leaving the tough boxer on the ground crying. 3 other thugs rush in with bats. Su Ming moves super fast, grabs them one by one, and literally plants them headfirst into the soft dirt of the vegetable garden. Seeing this, Zhao Daqiang's son, Zhao Bin, falls to his knees begging for mercy. Suddenly, Zhao Daqiang pulls out a hidden shotgun and fires at Su Ming. Before the bullets can hit him, Big Yellow jumps in the way, taking the full blast and falling into a bloody mess. Really angry now, Su Ming flicks a small rock that shatters Zhao Daqiang's arm, making him drop the gun. Su Ming grabs the heavy boss by the neck, lifting him off the ground. After tossing him aside, Su Ming casually steps on both Zhao Bin's and Zhao Daqiang's knees, breaking them completely. Those two will be in wheelchairs for life. Soon after, police cars pull up. Director Lei, the local police chief, runs in with a SWAT team. He is shocked to see thugs planted in the dirt and the local bosses totally broken. But Director Lee knows Su Ming is someone the higher-ups are watching, so he quickly plays along, calling it a clear case of self-defense and arresting the bad guys. While the cops clean up the yard, Su Ming carries his dying dog to his special farming field. He feeds Big Yellow some magic water and special plants. In seconds, the dog heals, grows much bigger, and opens its eyes, revealing glowing golden pupil. When Su Ming walks back out, a SWAT officer brings in a huge, top-tier police dog to search the yard. But as soon as the police dog gets close, the newly upgraded Big Yellow just gives it one look. The tough police dog gets so scared that it drops to its knees and shakes like a leaf. Director Lee is left staring in shock, wondering how a normal farm dog could terrify a champion police dog. Director Lee tried to buy Su Ming's dog, Big Yellow, for the police force. Su Ming flat out said no, making it clear the dog was family. When Lee tried to pet the dog anyway, Big Yellow silently showed its sharp teeth, scaring the life out of the director. After the police finally packed up and left, the village went totally quiet. Su Ming's grandpa was still shaking from the crazy gunfight that happened earlier. Su Ming quickly calmed him down, promising that the local bullies were finished and nobody would ever mess with their family again. Once his grandpa went to sleep, Su Ming walked out to his backyard dirt field and buried a wild boar leg. Right after, the dirt started beating like a heart, and a system screen popped up showing a 1-hour countdown for meat conversion. By the next morning, the whole village was avoiding Su Ming's house because of the crazy fight from the night before. Su Ming checked his backyard field and saw the buried meat was completely gone. The system showed he barely got any points, meaning he needed way better stuff to level up this dirt. Suddenly, the front gate flew open. It was Lin Xiaoan, a girl who worked with him. She looked like a total mess and was missing a shoe. She had heard rumors about the guns and ran all the way over in an absolute panic. She crashed right into Su Ming, crying and checking his whole body for bullet holes. Su Ming just held her hands, told her the bad guys had terrible aim, and promised he was completely fine. Right then, Xiaoan noticed Big Yellow. Thanks to the special dirt field, the dog had grown massive overnight and now looked like a huge golden lion. Su Ming casually sent the giant dog to fetch her missing shoe. When the dog brought it back, Su Ming bent down, gently wiped the mud off her foot and put the shoe back on for her, which made her blush super hard. He told her to wash her face because he was taking her to the city to spend some big money. Before they left, Su Ming gave Big Yellow a very cold order. If anyone besides them steps into the yard, just bury them as fertilizer. The huge dog scraped the ground, showing it totally understood. Later, at a fancy city mall, Su Ming was still wearing his cheap, dirty clothes, which made Xiaoan feel really out of place. They walked into a high-end men's store where a snobby saleswoman totally looked down on them, telling them not to touch the expensive suits. Su Ming didn't even waste time arguing. He just pointed at a bunch of premium clothes, asked for his size, and tossed a pure black bank card on the counter. The saleswoman instantly panicked, bowing and treating them like total royalty. While the staff rushed to pack his clothes, Su Ming walked to a jewelry store next door and bought an expensive platinum necklace. He walked up behind Xiaoan and smoothly locked it around her neck. She freaked out because it cost a ton of money and tried to take it off, but Su Ming held her hands. He told her she deserved it for running over barefoot just to make sure he was safe. Hearing that, she finally stopped fighting it and smiled. As it got dark, they hit up a rough outdoor survival store. The vibe changed completely. Su Ming started ordering hardcore gear, a heavy-duty steel shovel made for breaking bones, thick ropes, and sharp combat knives. The tough-looking store owner immediately knew Su Ming was planning some really serious business. Meanwhile, Xiaoan just stood there, totally confused about what he was getting ready to do. Su Ming and Lin Xiaoan, a doctor who now helps him out, are at a shop buying heavy-duty knives and medical kits. Su Ming casually lies to the bald shop owner that the knives are just for clearing tough farm roots and dealing with wild boars. After paying, he takes Lin Xiaoan to a super expensive revolving restaurant at the top of a fancy hotel. She is totally shocked because a meal there costs 1,500 yuan, but Su Ming just smiles and orders their best Wellington steak. When the food comes, Lin loves it, but Su Ming takes one bite and thinks it tastes like trash compared to the magic food from his own farm. He looks at her seriously and warns her that his farm will bring in a lot of money, but also a lot of danger. He asks if she is brave enough to stick with him. Lin just downs her wine, grabs his hand, and tells him she is not scared of anything. She agrees to manage his farm and be his official housekeeper. After dinner, they walk past a street market selling fake antiques. Suddenly, Su Ming's hidden system alerts him about some magic energy nearby. He spots a dirty, broken piece of jade at an old man's stall. Playing it smart, Su Ming pretends to argue over a fake incense burner, finally buying it for 200 yuan, but asking the old man to throw in the useless broken jade for free. Lin thinks he got scammed, but Su Ming knows the stone is the real prize. When he walks her home, things get a bit shy between them. Out of nowhere, Lin quickly kisses him on the cheek, thanks him for the night, and runs inside her house like a scared rabbit. Su Ming just smiles and heads back. Back at his old house, Su Ming buries the magic jade in his special farming field. The system flashes, but nothing happens right away. He checks his stats and sees he needs some high-level monster meat to upgrade his land. He decides it is time to hunt in the deep mountain. The next morning, a police director calls to tell him that the local bullies, the Zhao family, are locked up in prison forever. Su Ming feels totally in control, knowing nobody can mess with him anymore. Right after breakfast, Lin Xiaoan shows up looking like a real boss in a nice coat and glasses. She wants to take over the Zhao family's empty land to grow more magic veggies. Su Ming agrees to get the land but says he has a secret plan for it, not just regular farming. He tells her she gets half the money they make, joking that it is her salary for being the boss's wife, which makes her blush. After that, Su Ming puts on his outdoor gear, grabs his unbreakable black magic hoe, and calls his dog De Huang. The dog instantly switches into a serious hunting mode. Su Ming tells his grandpa he is just picking herbs and heads straight into the deep, scary part of the mountain. The deeper he goes, the darker and quieter the forest gets. Even though the place smells like blood and dead leaves, Su Ming does not feel scared at all. He just steps lightly on a wet rock, totally ready for whatever is hiding inside. Su Ming's body had gone through a massive upgrade. He easily ran up a steep slope like a lizard, not even breaking a sweat. His loyal dog, Big Yellow, suddenly growled at a bush. A deadly snake shot out right at Su Ming's leg. For a normal guy, it would be game over, but Su Ming just casually pinched the snake midair with 2 fingers and snapped its neck. He tossed it to Big Yellow, but the dog just kicked it away, too spoiled by good food to care. Moving deeper into the woods, Big Yellow sniffed out a hidden wild ginseng plant. Su Ming dug up the old root and saved it. Suddenly, the forest went dead quiet. A clouded leopard dropped from the trees, aiming right for Su Ming's neck. He just took a half step back and slammed his elbow into the big cat midair. The hit nearly broke all its ribs. The leopard crashed into a tree, got up in pure panic, and ran for its life. Soon, the air started smelling like rotten fish and sulfur. They found massive footprints crushed into the dirt. Big Yellow was shaking with fear, but Su Ming was just getting excited. In a clearing, a pack of huge wild boars was busy eating. Su Ming walked right up to them with his rusty hoe. The biggest boar rushed him like a truck. Su Ming just stepped aside and smacked it on the back of the head with his hoe, knocking it out cold. Then he picked up some small rocks and flicked them super fast, hitting the rest of the boars right in the ears. In less than a minute, the whole pack was down on the ground. Su Ming thought it was too easy, but then the ground started shaking. Trees snapped in half as a giant, tank-sized mutant wild boar walked out. This thing was covered in thick mud armor mixed with old traps and weapons. A system screen popped up in Su Ming's head, telling him this was a high-level monster full of energy. Instead of being scared, Su Ming smiled, seeing it as premium meat delivered right to his door. The giant boss boar bit into one of the dead pigs, crunching its bones just to show off. Big Yellow bravely ran up and bit the monster's leg, but the mud armor was too thick. The giant boar just kicked backward, sending the poor dog flying into a tree. Seeing his dog get hurt, Su Ming got really mad. The giant beast charged straight at him, crushing small trees on the way. Su Ming didn't dodge. He wanted to test his new limits. He held his hoe with both hands and took the hit head-on. The crash sounded like 2 thick pieces of metal smashing together, sending a heavy shockwave right through Su Ming's arms and chest. Su Ming slid backward, his feet digging deep into the dirt until his back finally hit a pine tree. He breathed out and smiled. His body took the heavy hit without breaking a single bone, proving his new strength was way past normal human limits. He looked at the hoe in his hand. Thanks to the system, the tool did not have a single scratch on it. Across from him, the giant wild boar king shook its huge head, clearly confused and mad that a normal guy survived its attack. The beast turned red, its muscles popping, and rushed at him even faster. Su Ming just smiled. He jumped out of the way, letting the huge pig crash right into the tree. He swung his hoe hard at its side, but sparks flew everywhere. The pig's skin was just too thick to cut. Su Ming kept moving through the trees, letting the giant boar wear itself out by smashing into everything. He knew he needed a weak spot. The eyes were too small and the body was too tough. Then he saw it, the big pink ears. The boar charged again like a massive truck. Su Ming waited until the very last second, twisted his body to dodge the sharp tusks, and did something crazy. He dropped his hoe and jumped right onto the boar's back. The beast went wild, jumping and trying to smash him against a tree to get him off. Su Ming held on tight, pulled out a hunting knife, and slid down near its head. With all his strength, he jammed the knife straight into the boar's pink ear. The monster screamed, lost its balance, and crashed headfirst into a giant rock. It twitched a few times and finally died. Su Ming sat on the ground, breathing hard but feeling amazing. He was not some tired office worker anymore. He was the boss of this mountain now. He walked over to check on his dog, Big Yellow, who was hiding near a tree with a swollen leg. Luckily, the dog was just bruised. Su Ming patted the dog's head and looked at his prize. The boar weighed over 1,000 pounds and had huge tusks. Just then, a system screen popped up, telling him the meat was full of spiritual energy and would make him even stronger. Instead of selling it, he decided to take it home for a massive dinner. He cut down some small trees, tied them with vines to make a sled, and rolled the giant pig onto it. Using his crazy new strength, he grabbed the ropes and started dragging the massive pile of meat down the mountain, with Big Yellow limping proudly behind him. By the time the sun started going down, the loud, heavy sound of the sled scraping against the dirt reached the village. A group of ladies gossiping under a big tree stopped talking when they felt the ground shake. First, they saw Big Yellow walking like he owned the place. Then Su Ming walked out of the shadows without a shirt, covered in sweat and dried blood. Right behind him, he was dragging the giant, dead wild boar king, plus a few smaller pigs piled on top. The whole village went completely quiet. People were terrified. The local bullies who used to pick on Su Ming hid in the bushes, shaking with fear. They realized if Su Ming could punch a hole in a monster pig, he could easily destroy them. Su Ming did not even care about the stairs. He just kept walking, casually told the scared ladies that he found a big catch in the mountains, and kept pulling the sled. Back at his house, Old Man Su and a nice girl named Lin Xiaoan were sitting in the yard, wondering where he was. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. Big Yellow ran inside barking happily, and Su Ming stood at the door. He was covered in dirt and blood, but he flashed a huge, bright smile at them. Su Ming drags a massive wild boar back home, and the thing is so huge it gets stuck right in the front gate. Grandpa Su, who moves way too fast for a 70-year-old, and Lin Xiaoan, Su Ming's pretty partner, just stare at it in total shock. Su Ming brushes off the dirt, looking incredibly strong, which makes Xiaoan blush a little. Right then, a blue system screen pops up asking to absorb the high-level meat, but Su Ming quietly closes it. He wants to eat first. While cutting up the giant pig, Su Ming moves fast and secretly hides the best parts like the heart, brain, and spine in a bucket. When Xiaoan asks about it, he smoothly lies and says it is just toxic trash for the compost. Soon, the whole village shows up because they smell the raw meat. Su Ming decides to give away 5 pounds of meat to every family, but he plays favorites based on how people treat him. He gives a huge perfect cut to Li Guizi, a nice disabled man who gets bullied a lot. But when Aunt Wang, the loud village gossip who always talks trash about Su Ming, tries to snatch the best piece, Su Ming slams his knife down and nearly cuts her sleeve. He tosses her the grossest, most chewy leftover meat instead. The whole crowd laughs as she runs away totally embarrassed. That night, Su Ming cooks the good meat for dinner. It is not just tasty, it is basically magic. After eating, Grandpa Su feels so full of energy that he starts doing martial arts in the yard, and Xiaoan notices her skin is suddenly glowing and smooth. Su Ming just plays it off, saying the wild boar ate a lot of healthy herbs. Late at night, when everyone is asleep, Su Ming takes that hidden bucket of pig parts to his secret farm behind the mountain. He buries the meat in the dirt. Suddenly, the ground starts bubbling and making weird cracking noises, like it is literally eating the bones. After a couple of hours, the farm levels up. The dirt turns a dark red color, the space gets way bigger, and a magical old stone well pops up in the middle. The well is full of glowing water that is supposed to clean the body. Su Ming scoops some up and drinks it. Instantly, his stomach feels like it is on fire and his bones start popping loudly. The pain is crazy, but it ends fast. When he looks down, his skin is covered in smelly black dirt, all the bad stuff leaving his body. He wipes it off, revealing tough, healthy skin. He clenches his fist, feeling super strong and light with his hearing and sight totally leveled up. Smiling, he walks over to check on his newly planted tomato seeds. Su Ming drops some magic spring water on a dying tomato plant. Right away, the plant grows crazy fast and makes fruit in just a minute. A system message pops up saying he can plant anything now. This gives him a wild idea. He runs to his grandpa's old attic and finds a beat-up medical book that his grandpa used to treat like a treasure. He takes it to his magic dirt field, buries it, and pours the magic water on top. The book melts into the dirt, and a shiny, jade-like plant grows out. After he adds more water, it turns into a small tree with leaves covered in tiny words. Finally, it grows a weird fruit that looks just like a tiny brain. The system says the fruit gives special knowledge but tastes super bitter and will tire his brain out. He eats it anyway. It tastes horrible and he passes out right there on the ground. In his mind, he wakes up in a blank white room. A blurry old man appears and shows him a special medical needle trick. The system tells Su Ming he has to practice this move perfectly 100,000 times. Every time he messes up, he gets hit with a terrible shock of pain. At first, it hurts really bad. But after 50,000 tries, he figures out the old man's secret breathing trick. The heavy needle suddenly feels light. He keeps going like a machine until he finally hits the 100,000 mark and does it perfectly. The old man nods, turns into light, and rushes right into Su Ming's head, filling his brain with years of medical skills. Su Ming wakes up back in his field. Only an hour has passed outside, but to him, it felt like 10 years. His head hurts a lot, but his hands move on their own, pressing the right spots on his head to stop the pain. He realizes he has a little bit of real energy flowing inside his body now. To test it, he picks up a dry piece of grass and shoots it from his fingers. It sticks right into a tree like a bullet. He looks at his dog, Big Yellow, and can instantly see all the dog's hidden health problem. The system tells him he mastered all the skills. Right then, a crazy hunger hits him. He runs straight home and starts stuffing cold wild boar meat into his mouth like a starving guy. Su-Ming finishes a big meal to settle his empty stomach and heads to the back mountain. He sits by his newly transformed red soil to meditate and build up his energy. Soon his grandpa spots the weird red dirt and freaks out, but Su-Ming just brushes it off, claiming he dug it up himself. Right then, Lin Xiaoan, a young village doctor, rolls up on her bike with some breakfast. Before she can even question the strange soil, a loud scream comes from the village entrance. Someone is dying. They rush over and find Grandpa Liu on the ground, shaking badly from a sudden brain bleed. Xiaoan says it is hopeless since the hospital is 2 hours away. But Su Ming steps right up. Using his special sight, he spots a block in the old man's head. Since he doesn't have real medical tools, he grabs some sharp thorns from a nearby tree. Xiaoan tries to stop him, but Su Ming quickly sticks the thorns into the old man's head and pushes his own energy through them. The thorns actually start smoking. A minute later, Grandpa Liu spits out some dark blood and wakes up completely fine. The villagers are shocked, but Su Ming just lies and says he learned it from a cheap old book. Nearby, a rich, sick girl named Qin Yuru is watching from a fancy car. Seeing Su Ming's crazy skills, she tells her big, bald bodyguard Ah Long to bring him over. Ah Long rudely orders Su Ming to get in the car, but Su Ming totally ignores him. Getting mad, the bodyguard tries to grab him, but Su Ming casually slaps his hand away, sending a shock that makes the big guy stumble back in pain. Seeing her guard fail, Qin Yuru gets out, apologizes, and offers Su Ming a huge check for 100,000 bucks to treat her. Su Ming doesn't care about the money at all. He tells her he is just a farmer and only treats people if he feels like it, then walks back into his yard to eat his breakfast. While Su Ming is eating his porridge inside, things go wrong outside. Qin Yuru suddenly falls to the ground. The air around the yard turns freezing cold, and actual frost starts covering her body. Hearing the panic, Su Ming realizes her rare cold sickness just acted up. Outside, Ah Long tries to help his boss up, but the second he touches her, his fingers get frozen dark purple. Seeing that she is turning into a human freezer and might die right at his door, Su Ming sighs, tells Xiaoan to get a room ready and steps out to handle the mess. Ah Long and the doctor girl, Lin Xiaoan, are freaking out. The rich girl, Qin Yuru, is basically turning into a human ice block. Xiaoan has never seen anything like this in her medical career, but Su Ming is just sitting there calmly eating his porridge. With his special vision, he sees that the energy inside Yuru is completely frozen. He tells them an ambulance won't make it in time. Ah Long, who is a tough bodyguard, realizes Su Ming is the real deal and drops to his knees, begging him to save his boss. Su Ming decides to help. He tells his grandpa to burn some herbs and brings out a bowl of super rare, magical spring water. He makes Ah Long force feed it to Yuru. The magic water fights the deadly cold inside her body. She wakes up screaming, and Su Ming quickly hits some spots on her back. She spits out freezing dark blood that literally cracks the stone floor like liquid nitrogen. Just like that, Yuru is saved. Her body finally feels warm after 20 years of being sick. Xiaoan is completely shocked, so Su Ming lies and says the water is just some rare natural stuff from their old well. Yuru is super grateful and offers Su Ming half of her family's massive wealth if he goes to the city to save her sick grandpa, but Su Ming just laughs it off. He says he is just a farmer, and if they want his help, they have to bring the sick guy to him. Seeing his cool attitude, Yuru gives him a black gold card with $1,000,000 as a thank you. Su Ming takes it easily because he knows his magic water is worth way more. Before she leaves, he hands her some of his magically grown cabbages and tomatoes, telling her to make soup for her grandpa so he can stay alive until they bring him over. After they leave, Su Ming gives the $1,000,000 to his grandpa, who almost falls out of his chair in shock. Now, Su Ming is ready to rent the mountain behind his house to grow more magical plants. Meanwhile, in the big city, a rich bad guy named Wen Jianjun gets some bad news. His local street thug got locked up by the cops because a powerful guy was protecting Su Ming, but Wen does not care about the thug. He reads a report about how Su Ming cured dying people and realizes Su Ming is hiding some crazy secret formula or magic medicine. Thinking about all the money he could make, Wen sends his top cleaner, a sneaky pro named Old Ghost, to go to Su Ming's farm. The plan is to steal some dirt or plants without anyone knowing. Back at the village, Su Ming suddenly sneezes, having no idea people are plotting against him. He just casually asks Xiaoan to help him rent out that empty mountain so he can start his big farming plan. Lin Xiaoan, a girl who always helps Su Ming out, rushes off to the village office to rent a piece of land for him. Su Ming smiles and heads to his backyard with a hoe, some seeds, and a dying wild ginseng he found earlier. Using his newly unlocked inner energy, he digs the dirt easily. He plants the ginseng and waters it with his magic spring water. Instantly, the dying plant comes back to life and levels up into a 70-year-old magic item that can save lives. He checks his other plants and sees they have all turned into crazy super herbs that can heal broken bones or boost power. He then plants some regular veggies, and in just a few minutes, they grow into a full green garden. Later that evening, Xiaoan comes back with good news. The village agreed to rent him the mountain for 20,000 a year. Su Ming thinks it is a really cheap deal. She worries about how he will handle all the hard work, but he just smiles because he has a secret plan. At night, Su Ming looks at his magic garden and realizes a big problem. These rare plants will definitely attract bad guys, and a farming tool will not be enough to protect him. He needs real fighting skills. Since he does not have any real martial arts books, a crazy idea hits him. He decides to make one up and see if his magic dirt can make it real. He runs to his room, grabs his old third-grade math notebook, and crosses out the title. He writes down the name of a famous TV martial art, the 18 subduing dragon palm. He spends an hour writing down random moves, mixing TV action with daily school exercises. He even draws a funny worm with legs and calls it a golden dragon. He takes the notebook to the yard while his dog, Big Yellow, is sleeping nearby. Su Ming digs a hole in the center of the magic dirt, drops the notebook in, and pours magic water over it. The paper does not melt. Instead, it soaks up the water and starts glowing. A system screen pops up, making fun of his weird fake moves but says it will try to make the book real. To finish the job, it needs his inner energy. Su Ming places his hand on the dirt and pushes his energy into it. The ground starts sucking his power so fast that he feels completely drained. Suddenly, a heavy dragon roar echoes right inside his head. It is so scary that Big Yellow wakes up crying and hides flat on the ground. Just as Su Ming is about to pass out from tiredness, the draining stops. A thin golden light shoots up from the dirt into the sky. The wind stops and everything goes totally quiet. Su Ming falls back onto the ground, sweating and tired, but he has a huge smile on his face. His crazy plan actually worked. Suddenly, a crazy storm hits Su Ming's backyard. His farming system flashes a warning that it needs energy, and it starts sucking the life out of his rare ginseng and berry plants. To stop this, Su Ming runs to his well and pours buckets of his special magic water onto a dirt mound. After 10 minutes of hard work, a weird golden plant pops out. It looks exactly like a funny earthworm he once drew. The system tells him it is a dragon fruit tree that needs lots of magic water or meat to grow. Since it is super hungry, Su Ming buries a bunch of wild boar meat next to it to keep it happy. Meanwhile, an old spy named Old Gooey from the rival when family is sneaking around outside. He uses a heat-tracking camera to check out Su Ming's house. But when he looks at the screen, he gets totally scared. The yard, Su Ming, and his dog Big Yellow are glowing like a really hot oven on the camera, way brighter than normal people. Big Yellow growls at the dark, and Old Gooey runs away in fear. Su Ming feels the spy watching but lets him go, joking to his dog that they will use the guy as plant food if he comes back. By the next morning, the golden plant has grown a bit but ate up all the energy in the yard again. Su Ming gives it more magic water and realizes his small yard is just not big enough. He decides to take over the big, empty mountain behind his house. After making a super healthy breakfast with his magic radishes for his grandpa and a nice girl named Lin Xiaoan who stays with them, they head to the village office. At the office, the local guys and a bully named Wang make fun of Su Ming for wanting to rent a useless mountain. They think he is crazy and broke. Su Ming just ignores their jokes and slaps a bank card on the table, saying he will pay 1 million in cash right now. Everyone goes completely quiet. The village leaders quickly change their attitude and happily sign the paperwork. As soon as the deal is done, Su Ming's system levels up. It gives him a new skill that lets him feel and track every single thing moving on that mountain. Xiaoan is really impressed by how cool and confident he acts. Instead of going straight to the mountain to look around, Su Ming goes back home to cook a special soup using his best magic plants and water. He knows that to keep farming in peace, he needs to make sure he and his family are strong enough to handle any trouble. Su Ming hands his grandpa a bowl of special purple soup. The old man drinks it and instantly feels a crazy heat burning his inside. Su Ming quickly taps a few spots on his back to help his body handle the strong energy. Soon, thick black sweat full of dirt and toxins comes out of the old man's skin. After 10 minutes, Grandpa lets out a loud shout. His wrinkles fade, his body feels super light, and he easily kicks a heavy stone mill across the yard. He feels 18 again and starts doing perfect martial arts moves. Just then, Lin Xiaoan, a pretty local girl, walks in and drops her groceries in shock. Seeing Grandpa's crazy energy, she wants to try the soup too. Su Ming jokes that it is a beauty drink, so she chugs it without thinking. Almost right away, her stomach makes a huge noise, and she runs to the bathroom to detox. Half an hour later, she comes back looking totally flawless, with glowing skin and shiny hair. She is super happy but gets shy and slaps Su Ming's hand away when he teases her. Su Ming gives the leftover soup to his dog, Big Yellow. The dog licks the bowl clean and sleeps all day. By sunset, the dog goes through a crazy change. Its old fur falls out, replaced by a smooth golden coat. It grows way bigger, gets huge muscles, and looks more like a wild wolf than a farm dog. Su Ming tests him by pointing at a stray cat on the wall. In a flash, Big Yellow jumps up, catches the cat gently, and drops it without hurting it. He is fast, strong, and perfectly obedient. Meanwhile, in the city, a rich boss named Wen Jianjun is looking at a heat map of Su Ming's village. He notices Su Ming's house is glowing bright red on the screen. Thinking the kid has some secret treasure, he tells his sneaky scout, Old Ghost, to go steal some soil. He also tells a deadly group of assassins to get ready to wipe out Su Ming's whole family. Later that night, Old Ghost sneaks into Su Ming's yard. He shoots a sleeping dart into the doghouse, thinking he took out the dog. But when he looks up, Big Yellow is standing on the wall, looking at him like he is stupid. Old Ghost tries to shoot again, but the dog moves in a blur and breaks his wrist. Scared for his life, the scout tries to jump over the wall to run away. Big Yellow just swats him out of the air like a fly and pins him to the ground. Su Ming jumps down from the roof, eating peanuts, and praises his dog. Old Ghost tries to make one last run for it, but the dog literally does a mid-air roundhouse kick to his face, knocks him out cold, and then pees on him. Grandpa wakes up from the noise, but Su Ming just lies and says the dog caught a big mouse. Once Grandpa goes back to sleep, Old Ghost tries to use his boss's name to scare Su Ming. Su Ming just laughs at him, pulls out his phone, and calls the cops. Soon, police cars roll up to the house, and the lead officer steps out, looking totally confused at the crazy mess in the yard. Su Ming stood in his courtyard with his big yellow dog, looking at the hitman named Old Ghost, who was beaten up on the ground. When Captain Zhang and the police arrived, Su Ming pointed out that the guy had a gun. The cops searched the hitman and found a highly modified gun, a combat knife, and enough deadly poison to wipe out the whole village. The police were shocked by how evil this was and dragged the hitman away. Captain Zhang realized Su Ming was pretty smart and tough for using the cops to handle his enemy. Meanwhile, in the city, Wen Jianjun was super mad. He was the boss of the Wen family, a shady group that did bad things. Hearing that his hitman got caught by the cops made him realize Su Ming was not just a normal farmer. Angry, he ordered his special team to gather info and attack Su Ming the very next day. Later, Su Ming got a call from Old Li, a rich old man he had saved before. Old Li warned him that the Wen family was really dangerous. He explained that there is a secret world of martial arts experts, and the Wen family boss is a crazy guy who never lets go of a grudge. Old Li even guessed that Su Ming might be a martial artist too, but Su Ming just played dumb. After hanging up, Su Ming realized that even with his super strength, he was still scared of guns and dirty tricks. He needed to get stronger right away to protect his family. He went to the back of the mountain where he grew his special plants. His magic dragon fruit tree was glowing and looked like it was breathing. Knowing he did not have time to wait, he dumped all his magic spring water on it. The tree quickly grew a golden fruit that looked exactly like a tiny dragon. Without thinking twice, he ate it. The fruit felt like hot liquid going down his stomach. Suddenly, his mind was pulled into a blank space where a shadow figure taught him martial arts. He practiced the moves over and over until his body just knew how to do them naturally. When he woke up in the real world, his body felt totally different. He had gained 20 years of pure energy. To test his new power, he walked up to a giant heavy rock. He did a slow palm strike just like the shadow taught him. A golden wave of energy shot out with the sound of a dragon. At first, the rock looked fine. But when the wind blew, the giant stone just crumbled into dust, leaving a deep black handprint behind. Just then, his grandpa ran over with a flashlight because he heard the loud noise. The old man saw the destroyed rock and was totally shocked, asking if Su Ming had met a god. Su Ming laughed awkwardly and lied, saying it was just a special breathing trick in physics he learned from a college professor. His grandpa did not understand physics, but since his college-educated grandson said it, he believed it, though he was a bit sad about losing a perfectly good rock. Su Ming's grandpa tells him to practice his crazy martial arts away from the house so he doesn't break anything. Su Ming looks at a burnt handprint he made and knows his power is basically a cheat code. The next morning, Lin Xiaoan, a nice girl who works at the local clinic, drops by. She notices his skin looks super clear and smooth. Before they can talk much, she gets an emergency call about a food poisoning case and leaves on her scooter, showing off her cute new hair clip. Right after she leaves, the sky turns dark and the weather gets really bad. On a lonely mountain road, 2 black cars block Lin Xiaoan. She crashes, and 3 masked guys grab her, drug her, and take her away. Her new hair clip falls into the mud. Back at home, Su Ming gets a bad feeling when she doesn't answer her phone. He takes his old bike and rides out into the heavy rain, using his inner energy to keep the water off it. He finds her crashed scooter and the broken hair clip on the road. Just then, his phone rings. A guy with a fake voice tells him to bring his farming secrets and land papers to an old brick factory, or they will hurt Lin Xiaoan. Su Ming gets really mad. He pedals his bike so hard that it breaks, so he just throws it away and starts running. He uses his power to run faster than a car. His body heat is so high that the rain turns into steam before it even touches him. He reaches the factory in minutes and jumps into a tree to look inside. He sees Lin Xiaoan tied to a chair, bleeding from her mouth. Outside, 2 armed guards are taking a smoke break. Su Ming takes them out in seconds without making a sound, snapping one guy's neck and knocking the other out. He walks right up to the heavy iron door. Inside the factory, a rich bad guy named Master Wen is threatening Lin Xiaoan with a knife, trying to get the secrets. A tough mercenary leader named Venom is watching from the corner. Suddenly, the heavy door opens and the storm blows inside. Su Ming walks in. Venom gets totally spooked because Su Ming is wearing a simple t-shirt but is completely dry. Venom realizes this guy must be a super strong master, so he quietly gets his gun ready while Master Wen freezes in shock. Master Wen, a rich boss with a shady background, hires 5 heavy-duty mercenaries led by a guy named Venomous Fang. They tie up a girl named Lin Xiaoan in an old warehouse to force Su Ming to hand over his land. But when Su Ming walks in, he totally ignores the guns pointed at him and Wen's threats. He walks straight to Xiaoan, sees a bruise on her face, and calmly unties her while she cries and tells him to run. Wen loses his temper and orders his men to shoot. A mercenary fires, but the bullet just stops in midair right in front of Su Ming's knee. Su Ming stomps the ground and his energy shoots the bullet right back, killing the shooter instantly. Wen is totally shocked. Fang realizes Su Ming is a top-tier martial arts master and yells at his team to empty their clips. Dozens of bullets fly, but they all hit an invisible wall around Su Ming and drop to the floor. Su Ming calmly walks through the gun's smoke. In just a couple of seconds, he chops one guy's neck and elbows another so hard he flies into a metal machine. Both drop dead. Fang tries to sneak attack Su Ming from behind with a knife. Without even looking back, Su Ming throws a backward palm strike. The hit is so powerful it sends Fang flying into a thick brick wall, leaving him stuck there dead. In less than a minute, all the elite shooters are wiped out, and Su Ming's white shirt is still perfectly clean. Wen drops to his knees in a puddle, shaking and begging for his life. He offers 500 million and all his businesses. Su Ming just tells him that no amount of money can fix the fact that he hurt Xiaoan. Knowing he is out of options, Wen suddenly plays his last card. It turns out he has been hiding his own martial arts skills for 30 years. He throws 3 poison needles right at Su Ming's face and follows up with a heavy punch. But Su Ming's energy shield blocks the needles easily. When Wen's punch hits Su Ming, the kickback is so strong it completely crushes Wen's own hand. Looking down at the broken boss, Su Ming steps back and pushes his palm forward to finish the job. Su Ming unleashes a massive palm strike that hits with crazy pressure. It blasts a heavy guy named Master Wen straight into a thick brick wall. The hit is so strong that Wen is completely crushed into a bloody mess and dies on the spot. Outside, 3 of Wen's henchmen see this, panic, and try to speed away in a black SUV. Su Ming calmly puts his coat around Lin Xiaoan, a medical student he is protecting. He tells her to close her eyes and count to 30 while he takes out the trash. Moving incredibly fast, Su Ming chases down the escaping SUV. He jumps up and brings his leg down on the car roof like an axe, completely smashing the vehicle and popping the tires. As the trapped guys beg for mercy, Su Ming just gives them 3 quick kicks, easily breaking their skulls. Instead of leaving them, he drags their bodies into the wrecked car. To him, the bodies of strong fighters are just top-tier plant food for his farm. Right as Lin Xiaoan finishes counting to 30, Su Ming catches her as she almost falls. She looks around at the messy warehouse, worried about all the dead bodies and blood left behind. But Su Ming tells her not to worry. He casually pulls the dead guys out of the walls, uses his bare hands to cut out the bloody concrete, and stomps the ground to shake all the bloody dirt into a giant pile. He packs all the bodies and the dirty soil into a huge tarp, leaving the place completely clean. He stuffs the heavy bag of bodies into the broken SUV and drives it back to his farm in Taoyuan village, with Lin Xiaoan following behind. Once they get there, he shoos away his dog and tells Lin Xiaoan to go inside and rest. He takes the huge bag to his magic farming field, digs a hole in less than 2 minutes, and buries everything. His farming system immediately breaks down the bodies, turning their energy into super nutrients that make his plants look fresh and healthy. Inside the house, Lin Xiaoan is still pretty shaken up. Su Ming gives her a glass of cool water from his magic well, which quickly calms her down. When she asks who he really is, he just says he is a farmer trying to protect his land and the people he cares about. Instead of being scared, Lin Xiaoan hugs him and says she doesn't want to be a burden anymore. She wants to learn how to fight. Su Ming smiles and agrees to teach her. Later that night, Su Ming decides to make a training book for her and his grandpa. He grabs an old-school notebook and searches the internet for basic Tai Chi moves. He mixes those normal moves with some fake magical quotes he saw on short videos, writing it all down messily with a pen. He takes the notebook out to his magic dirt and buries it, hoping the field will grow it into a real skill. But his system pops up, saying the book makes zero sense. Su Ming tries to force it by feeding the dirt some of his own energy, but the system warns him that his farm level is just too low to fix such a crazy, messed up book. The red dirt in the yard quickly breaks down the dead mercenary, using them as fertilizer to grow a small magic tree with black and white fruits. Su Ming is pretty happy with his special garden and digs up the dead guy's ruined swords to use as scrap metal. Suddenly, a bunch of badly smashed cars roll up to his gate. Chin Yuru, a rich girl from the city who usually looks perfect, stumbles out covered in dirt and begs for help. Her protector, Old Lee, a really powerful boss from the capital, is pulled out on a stretcher. He looks like he is right about to die, his skin freezing cold. Chin Yuru explains they got attacked by Wen family killers on the road, and Old Lee pushed his sick body way too hard to save them. A fancy city doctor traveling with them starts yelling that Old Lee needs a real hospital, not some village guy. Su Ming totally ignores him. He grabs some needles from his helper, Lin Xiaoan, and quickly does some acupuncture to keep Old Lee alive. The doctor keeps complaining until Su Ming's grandpa, Old Man Su, steps out with a heavy stick and tells the doctor to shut up. Su Ming heads to his backyard, picks a magic tomato and a purple plant, and boils them into a hot soup. He brings it back and tells Chin Yuru to open Old Lee's mouth. The doctor tries to stop him again, but Su Ming just casually trips the guy into a mud puddle. Old Lee drinks the hot soup, and almost right away, he spits out a bunch of gross, dark blood. Instead of dying, he jumps right up off the stretcher and sits on the dirt to focus his energy. The fancy doctor is completely shocked because this makes zero medical sense, while Lin Xiaoan just casually tells the doctor to watch out for leeches in the mud. A few minutes later, Old Lee is fully healed and even looks younger. He bows to Su Ming, saying the soup not only fixed his old injuries but also leveled up his martial arts power. Su Ming acts like it is no big deal and casually charges them $1,000,000 for the medicine. They go inside for some cheap tea, and Old Lee gets serious. He warns Su Ming that the Wen family is freaking out over their missing guy and has called in their really strong backers, the Wang family, to hunt them down.